all doing today? Good. Good. Everybody, just stand up, please. Two of you did this with me before at our last session. Stand up if you would, please. Hold your arm in front of you. And how many of you have your right arm on top? You have your right arm on top. You have now not your hand, but your arm. Say yes. How many of you have your right arm on top? Say yes. Yes. How many of you have your left arm on top? Say yes. Yes. Okay, a little bit more right arms on top than left arms on top. That it's usually a 50-50. Switch. Yeah, heard the word can't. Yeah, it doesn't work. I actually hear that a lot. Even when I'm doing seminars in front of 1,000 people, that I hear a lot of that mumbling. I can't do it. Doesn't work. Make a mental note which one's on top. Now you keep on going around. Make a mental note of which one's on top. And the interesting personality.
Yes, we know.
So let's try this again. Drop your hands. Fold your arms on top. Your natural way. And now switch. Make a mental note of which one's on top now. Mental note, take them apart, and now put them together the last way you had them, the opposite way that you usually do. Opposite way you usually do, yeah. See, and you're having that stutter step. It's like what you said. I can't do it. Well, put your hands together in a praying position, if you would, please. Left thumb on top, right thumb on top. How many of you have your left thumb on top? Say yes. Yes. How many of you have right thumb on top? Say yes. Yes. Okay, pretty much an equal division there. Switch. Make a mental note which one's on top. Take them apart. Put them back up together the last way you had them, the opposite way that you usually do. How many of you would say it feels a little uncomfortable?
No, I've done this too many times.
Okay, go ahead and sit down. And the point of that is that we get into, well, let me hear from you. What's the point of that? What is it? What's the word? Habits. Habitual. I gotcha. It's a habit. It's a habit form. We get into habit patterns, and we stay in those particular habit patterns. If we're in sales, we oftentimes sell the way we would like to be sold. My premise, if I always sell the way I would like to be sold, I could be losing at least half to 3/4 of those that I sell. Kurt just said we're all in sales. So I'm suggesting whether it's the president of the company, whatever your title of the company is, that if you always communicate with other people the way you would like to be communicated with, you will be turning off about half to 3/4 of the people, including your spouse. I just threw that spouse in there. But how many of you know I'm not sure what her exact show is, the Amy Lynn show? How many of you know that show? Yes, Tri-Cities. I'm going to be on that show on the 16th. And I'm going to be taking one chapter from this book that's in front of you. If you want to purchase it, you can. And if you don't want to, just leave it on here. But one of the last chapters is about marriage relationships. And about at Christmas time, we oftentimes give gifts that we would like to receive. How many of you do that? How many of you give gifts that you would like to receive? And I'm suggesting, my premise is, if we do that, we're going to be giving the wrong gift at least half to 3/4 of the time. Owls like practical gifts. Tigers don't like practical gifts. Give me anything but practical. How many of you sometimes give money as a gift? Okay. Lambs hate that as a gift. They say, well, no thought went into that. What a cold gift that is. The person didn't even think about me when they were giving the gift. All they gave me was 100. Okay. But that's the premise of my short session here. This is condensed down to 3-day session. My Master Closer trilogy is 3 full days. This is a half an hour of that 3 full days. So how many of you did this as you were sitting there? How many of you have already filled this out? Fill this out. Take 1 minute and fill this out. Okay, I have yours. Charles Clarke, how are you?
Good, sorry.
And your name again is?
Joe.
Joe. So fill that out. Just take 1 minute, fill that out, those 5 questions. And as you're filling out those 5 questions, then total up the number of yeses, total up the number of nos. Tracy, how many yeses did you get on that? 3. Carrie, how many yeses did you get on that?
Only on question 2.
Okay, pardon me. All right. So I'm going to give you one more minute to finish that. And this is my premise. In business, if I always communicate to people the way I would like to be communicated to and with, that I will be uncommunicating with at least half to 3/4. The reason for the exercise of left on top, right on top, is because we get into habits of selling the way we would like to be sold and communicating with people that we would like to be communicated with. So, have I stalled enough? Do you have the answers? How many yeses did you come up with?
4.
Okay. How many of you had 5 yeses? How many of you had 4 yeses? How many had 3 yeses? How many had 2 yeses? And how many of you had 1 yes? How many had no yeses? Yeah, the 2 of us. I am going to only use that as an example as I finish in terms of the more yeses you have, the more blocks that you have in terms of the selling process. Something for you to think about. I'm not being dogmatic about this. I'm just suggesting it's something for you to think about. If you think you have to earn the right to close, that's subjective. Why wouldn't you ask everybody? You want to sign up? Well, I don't know if I've earned that right to do that. How about that one on social first? How many of you think it really is more important to do social first than business first? Yeah. And here's what I'm suggesting. Bulls and owls don't think it's more important to do social first. And if you're trying to build common ground with somebody and selling the sizzle and not the steak, I'm suggesting, I'm not being dogmatic, I'm just suggesting that you might be losing half of the people that you're talking with. How many of you personally, if you were buying an automobile, you would not want social first? You would want bottom line, Jennifer, her bull side. That how many of you would want to know what's the price of the car? I don't want to be your new best friend. I don't want you to be my new best friend. I just want to know, I don't want social first. How many of you would rather have business first if you were buying an automobile? And it depends, situational buying as well. There's so many myths in selling, like sell the sizzle, not the steak. And I'm suggesting bulls don't want to be sizzled. That lambs and tigers have a higher probability of wanting to be sizzled. So, with that in mind, turn to this page. I think it's the 3rd page in. And just answer what you think. Read that. And what do you think is your personality? Your personality. Are you more of a bull, an owl, a lamb, or a tiger? Kurt Henry was talking about right brain and left brain at the very beginning of the session. The left brain people are actually more of the bulls and the owls. The right brain people are more the tigers and the lambs. I'll explain that more. Type A personalities are more the bulls and the tigers. Look, did you do that? Go ahead and write down which was your number 1, which is your number 2, which is your number 3, and which is your number 4. What'd you come up with as your number 1?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm very detailed.
Okay. Now, his answer, I don't know yet, eliminates him from being a bull. Bulls automatically know which it is. They don't have to think about it. They don't have. So put down owls number 1. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, I know that. And I'm not trying to be a know-it-all when I say that. Here's what I'm suggesting. How many of you think it would really be a neat thing to do to read people's faces and to know somebody's personality, go way beyond that, within 30 seconds know if they're a fast decision maker, a slower decision maker, more methodical decision maker, a person that plays with their phone while somebody else is speaking or not, that I'm suggesting all these things are predictable. How many of you would love to have that skill of being able to know more about what's inside the person's head? Even your own employees. And sometimes what happens with employees, we put a wonderful person in the wrong slot. We try to put a round peg in a square hole. That's another thing. So let's look at this, what we've got here. Did you come up with lamb as your second, or what did you had bull as your 4th, right?
No, actually, bull is my second.
Okay, all right. Now, see, I don't agree with that. And I'm not the reason why I don't agree with that is because his first comment was, I can't decide. So,
No, I didn't say I couldn't decide. I said I hadn't decided yet.
okay, you're right. Okay.
I'm actually a very decisive person.
As long as you have time to think about it.
Absolutely.
As long as he has time to think about it, he's a very decisive person.
want you to be dogmatic.
Yes, okay. So let me start with the bull. How many of you are having fun? How many of you think I'm too abrasive? Okay, I'm really not an abrasive person. That's what you thought was my first when we first met. I have to work at that. Some of you don't. The bull. Half of the bulls are women. Half of the bulls are men. It's not gender-based. I know zoology. I know the bull. But I violate this. This was from my actual first paper at University of Hawaii. Kind of a neat place to go for your master's degree. And I had been accepted to Ivy League schools, and I got accepted to Hawaii. I go, I'm going to Hawaii. So it was bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers. And I first had a turtle in there, and I first had an eagle in there, and then that doesn't spell out bolt. But the bull is, it's not gender-based. Lambs, half the lambs are men, half the lambs are women. Same thing with the bull. Their bottom line, get to the point, business first. The key word with the bull is control. If you're taking notes, go ahead and write the word control. The key word with the owl is order. The key word with the lamb is pleasing. And the key word with tiger is fun and excitement. Or if you wanted to do one word, it'd be fun. Do you want me to repeat that? Key word for the bull is control. Key word for the owl is order. Key word for the lamb is pleasing. And the key word for the tiger is fun. If you've taken how many of you have taken the DISC test before? The bull is the D, the I is the tiger, the S is the steady lamb, and the C is the compliant owl. There's a lot of different typologies that are out there.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. The D is the bull, the I of the tiger, the S is the steady lamb, and the C is the compliant owl. Take your number one and your number two and express it in terms of animals. And you were saying that owl bull. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Kurt, do you agree with that? Okay. If you always sell the way you would like to be sold, you could be losing at least half to 3/4 of your potential sales. Let me take it away from sales. If I always communicate with other people the way I would like to be communicated with, I will be uncommunicating with at least half to 3/4 of the people. Tracy, have you hired a lot of lambs at your company? If you would say that there is one thread of personality throughout your company, is it the lamb? And I ask that of everybody. What is the personality of your company? So many companies have this personality of the company as well, the cultural personality. What is the personality of your company?
I was just saying, Ben, is it S's that we dominate? We have one D.
Yeah, S and C.
Okay, all right. Now turn to the chart, please. And I want to do about another 5 minutes on a build-up, and then we'll look at the practical side of what does this mean. Yes, it's fun, and it is. But what does it mean, and how can it help me in terms of increasing my business? What have you concluded? You got the book the last time. You didn't have this?
I don't have that.
Okay. Does everybody have the handout? Does everybody? Okay. Well, there it is. Who does not have a handout? All right. The chart that you see there, bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers, is based on two variables. Read across the top with me, please. Read out loud. Bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers is based on two variables. How assertive a person is and how much emotion they display to other people.
I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page.
Okay, it's the chart. You've got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The very first page?
yeah.
Second page. I'm sorry, I couldn't see it.
What do you think your number one is? Bull, owl, lamb, tiger.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, but
In your heart of hearts, what do you think?
I'd say lamb.
Okay. The bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers is based on two variables: how assertive a person is and how much emotion they show to other people. All emotions except for anger. The reason why I isolate anger out is because that's sometimes the only emotion that a bull shows is one of disgruntledness. Not a bull tiger, but a bull. It's very important because sometimes people will say, I'll say, well, what do you think their personality is? And they go, well, they're an accountant. They've got to be an owl. No, they could be a bad accountant. Andy Fastow, the accountant for Enron, was a tiger bull. He's doing time right now. He had 3 sets of books. You're not supposed to do that. And so, yeah, he was a very creative accountant, very tiger, but that don't make the mistake of, well, somebody's occupation is this, therefore they are that. It's based on the 2 variables, how assertive a person is and how much emotion they show.
What was made of?
Pardon me?
What was made of?
Very, very bull tiger. I mean, he thought he could get away with things that he did for a period of time. The very little lamb, I think. See, remember the movie Bruce Willis, Fifth Sense? Is it Fifth Sense? Sixth Sense. That I see dead people.
Yeah.
I don't see dead people, but I see animal faces. I couldn't help but see your animal face when you first walked in, as well as with everybody. I can't help but meet somebody and start trying to analyze their personality. See across the line? Bulls are very tail-oriented. They're very bossy. They're most assertive. Bulls and tigers. Tigers are as assertive as bulls. Owls are very analytical. Cross the T's, dot the I's. All right? So I'm going to go back to that page with just the animal heads, and we're going to kind of use these 2 pages together. The bull. The bull is the bottom line. Get to the point, business first. Bulls in a grocery store that says 7 items or less has no problem of having the 12 items and going through. Let somebody else do that and they get very aggravated. Bulls are fast decision makers and they're high risk takers. Bulls would rather buy something the very first day. Would a bull buy a $500,000 home the first day? How many of you say it's very rare for somebody to buy a $500,000 home the first day? How many of you say that's very rare? Raise your hand if you think it's very rare. Yeah. Now, the reason why you're raising your hand is because you wouldn't do it. Isn't that interesting? What I'm suggesting is the number one objection in buying anything is my objection. If I'm in sales, the number one objection is my objection. Well, I didn't ask those people if they wanted to buy today. They're a new client, and I was just talking to them. I'll wait for the next time, and maybe there's not going to be a next time. Maybe somebody's going to move in ahead of you. So bulls are bottom line, get to the point, business first, somewhat abrasive. They like to buy the first day. How many of you would buy that $500,000 home the first day? How many of you would and have? Okay. Why would you do that?
I probably already made up my mind.
Okay. Now, oftentimes an owl will give an answer like this. Well, I maybe would only do it if I've done a lot of research. Would you do a lot of research before buying an automobile?
Probably.
Okay. How many of you do a lot of research before buying an automobile? Before buying anything? I'm suggesting that the tiger bull doesn't. They are impulse buyers, and they account for about 50% of the people, no matter what they are buying. The fast decision makers, high risk takers. Well, I've got on here somewhat abrasive. How many of you saw yourselves as bull as number 1? Okay. Jennifer, do you see yourself somewhat abrasive?
On occasion.
Okay. How about just, do you find yourself abrasive? Yes or no? No. No? Okay. Well, who was the one that went up to Kurt and told him that the brake had gone on too long? Well, let me go. No, wait a minute. No.
Because he said, Kurt's brake's gone too long. People are losing interest. And I go, well, they can't.
Yeah, well, I didn't take the action you did. Yeah. The owl. The owl is very, back to the D. Bulls are the D personality. They are also more left brain, and owls are very left brain. Owls are the most left brain. They are very analytical, cross the T's and dot the I's. People who correct everything you say or do. Now, sometimes owls don't outwardly do this, but they're the most critical of themselves than anyone else. How many of you would agree with that? How many of you have owls number one? Okay. I saw your lamb as number one. You're saying your owl's number one? Right, back here, yeah.
No, I analyze everything.
Okay.
I overanalyze things.
Okay, all right. Owls would have a higher probability of not buying the first day. They would have a higher probability of thinking things over before they buy. They're not spontaneous. That's down to the tiger. The lamb, they're pleasers. The person who wants to please everybody. Now, pleasing everybody, that's impossible. But that's why I use that word, everybody. They really don't like fights. They really don't like confrontation. And they'll go to battle when they have to for their family or for their company, but they would really not have confrontation. How many of you would say that lamb describes you the most? Okay. How many would say the bull describes you the most? Number one, bull, okay. How many would say that owl describes you the most? Okay. And that leaves us to the tiger. Tigers are fast decision makers. They're high risk takers. They're distracted by shiny objects. They have 2 or 3 thoughts in their mind at one time, which is actually an impossibility, but it seems like there's 2 or 3 thoughts going in their mind at one time.
And on their lips.
And on their lips.
Yes.
Yes. And when they start talking, it's like a popcorn machine. Boom, 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 boom. You know, here's a kernel, and then it just starts exploding.
Yes, I know one.
Are they in this room?
No,
Okay.
she will be.
Okay. Sometimes, Kurt, that the tigers are the most disruptive of anybody. They start on a subject and they stay on that particular subject. They're fast decision makers and they're high risk takers.
Tiger in 'em.
I was giving this presentation to a company in Cleveland, Ohio, and they were a spawn of the Young President's organization. And it was a 3rd-generation company. It was a chemical company. And when I came to the part, which I'm not going to get into today, of asking everybody, what do you think about going ahead with this today? 100% of the time, I just said I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into detail. I'm just planting the seed. I'm suggesting 100% of the time, all the time, with everyone always, ask, what do you think about going ahead with this today? I know you just heard a little bit about our company. You've seen us online. What do you think about going ahead with this today? Well, this man, the president of the company, he said, Charles, you can skip over this part because we sell $5 million contracts, and some of them take a year to 2 years to develop. And we would never at our company ask anybody, what do you think about going ahead with this today? We just couldn't. They wouldn't have all the details. They wouldn't know how much it was going to be costing. I said, could you write it like this? This is subject to complete details of the contract and the price of that contract. Now, that's not exactly how it was, but that's the essence. This is subject to that all of the details being worked out and that you agreeing to the price of those details. Well, the president of the company, he emailed me back in, I think it was 4 days. He says, you won't believe what happened. Well, I did believe what happened. And that he said, I myself, that was him, asked somebody, I think it was a $10 million contract, and it was a new contract. At the end, they said, how do you like everything you've seen and heard so far? Well, we like it. So which aspect did you like the best? You might want to take some notes on these things. And then again, nobody is, so you might not. How'd you like everything you've seen and heard? What aspect did you like the best? What do you think about going ahead with this today? Well, I don't even know, what the price would be and all the details. Well, this is what, right here I've written. This is subject to you're agreeing to all the details of the contract and the final price of the contract. The man that day gave him a check for $50,000 with installments. In the first time in the 3-generation company that had ever happened. What do you think about that? What was the personality of the buyer? What was the personality of the buyer?
The bull.
The bull. Yeah, the bull that just wanted. Was there any risk for the bull?
Yes,
What risk?
No.
making a bad decision.
Making a bad decision? Why was it no risk? Because he had an out. A legal binding out that said subject to, you're agreeing to all the details, and subject to, you're agreeing to the final price. Bulls would rather just get her done, like Larry the Cable Guy says. Now, that is such a foreign concept to some of you that you would never do it. How many of you would just never do that? You as a buyer, you would never do that. I'm thinking you wouldn't. Yeah. How many of you wouldn't? Let me see your hands. How many of you just wouldn't do that? How many of you would possibly do that? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. And there is nothing wrong. There is nothing right. It just is. Our bull, owl, lamb, and tiger is like it is our DNA. It's our DNA for our personality. Just like having blue eyes or brown eyes. Can you make your brown eyes blue? Well, Crystal Gale says you can, but with contact lenses. But our personality is given to us at birth, and then it's modified with environment. Back when I was getting my advanced degrees in psychology and sociology, that more of the thinking was our personality is given to us more by environment, nature, versus nurture. And now most psychologists agree that it's a combination of both. Turn to the page. This personality right here, this test we're going to do, Kurt is giving me about 15, 20 minutes after lunch, around 2 o'clock, 2:30. If you would fill this out, I don't want to take time from this presentation now, fill this out during lunch and total them up, put a number 1 by the highest, then a 2, then a 3, then a 4, and I will analyze your personality. I'll give you some private couch time in public. To the chart. Are there any questions so far?
Yes, so you want a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in each one of these?
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
You
No.
don't want a 5, 6, 7, 8?
No.
Then what would the total points be at the bottom? Like, if we're
It'd be
doing 1, 2, 3,
total.
4?
It'd be highest of 80, lowest of 20.
Okay.
Turn to the chart, please. Again, the premise is, in a company, if I had 4 employees, only 4 employees, I'd want 1 bull, 1 owl, 1 lamb, and 1 tiger placed in the proper slots. Are you heavy with your own personality? Oftentimes what we do is we hire out of our own personality. Bulls like bulls. They marry lambs, but they like bulls as employees. Again, this is just a thumbnail sketch of the bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers. Bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers is my registered trademark, just like Coca-Cola is, just like McDonald's is. It's a registered trademark. On this graph here, let's just talk about some people we all know. How am I doing on time, Kurt? Okay. Let's look at some people we all know. I'm going to talk about some politicians. I'm going to talk about some actors and actresses. And let's stay with the categories of bull, owl, lamb, and tiger. Let's not put donkey or the bad word for donkey. No A words. And so let's look at some people we all know. Where would you put the Donald? As in Trump. He's a bull. Bull what? Pardon me?
Bull.
Yeah, pretty much of a bull, yeah. If he had a secondary animal, what would it be?
Tiger.
It's bull tiger. So put down here the Donald, or Donald Trump. I really invite you to do this because you'll see how I'm going to invite you to put down some people other people that you know. So Donald Trump, a good example of a bull tiger. Where would you, how assertive is he? How bossy is he? 4. How much emotion does he show? About a B. Where would you put Dick Cheney? Past Vice President Cheney. Where would you put him?
Probably owl bull.
Owl bull?
Owl bull.
See, I would put him as a bull. I'd put him as a 4. When he was being interviewed by, we're not going to agree on all these, we're getting pretty close though, by Meet the Press, the man that died, was it Tim Russert?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that Tim Russert said, 90% of the population believe that we should not have gone into Iraq. I don't remember what the exact quote it was. Dick Cheney folded his arms, like the two of you have done already, and he looks at Tim Russert and he goes, so? In other words, bulls don't care what other people think. It's just so. I would put Dick Cheney and Darth Vader pretty close to that bull. Let's look at some owls. Where would you put Bill Gates? You talked about Bill Gates earlier. Where would you put Bill Gates? Where would you put Bill Gates?
Owl.
Yeah, you got it.
Owl.
And his secondary is hard. But when you've got how many billions of dollars, you can have a little flexibility in your personality there. Yeah. I've used him as an example of even an owl lamb, people that have worked for him, say owl bull. I was out in Seattle just, I think it was a week before Thanksgiving, week before last, with their company. Where would you put Hillary? She only, like Cher, she only needs one name.
She's not on here.
Well, okay. You don't need to. Where would you put Hillary? It's Hillary's personality. Where would you put Hillary's personality?
Probably Bull Owl.
Bull Owl. You've nailed it. And the Bull Owl. She's a Bull Owl. Good example of a Bull Owl. Steve Jobs. We talked about him earlier. Where would you put Steve Jobs? If you've read his, pardon me?
Tiger.
Yeah, he's really a bull.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you read that book, it wasn't not an autobiography, but it's a biography. And I mean, he's a bull tiger, but not an owl.
Okay.
But you're right. You're right in the neighborhood there.
The dreamer.
Yeah. He really didn't like people. It said, people would say, even in his 20s, that people would say, well, let's go have a cocktail. And he goes, no, I don't want to be around people anymore. How many of you can take only so much of people? Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is. Where would you put Barack Obama's personality? Where would you put his personality?
Owl.
Yeah, he's an owl. You're really good at this. Yeah, he's an owl. Everything he does is out of owl behavior. His first year of administration, they were trying to decide if they were going to increase the troops in Afghanistan by, I believe the number was 8,000 people. Good to see you. And he took a year, almost a year, nearly a year to decide if he was going to increase the troops. How many of you remember this? That's a factoid. Dick Cheney, in an interview, said, I would have decided before my first cup of coffee. I mean, and I think that's pretty factual too. The owls take a long time to make up their minds, and it very much aggravates these other two personalities. Where would you put Edith Bunker, a fictional character on all of the family?
She's probably a lamb.
Lamb. She's a lamb. Married to Archie, who was a bull tiger. Who controlled that marriage?
Meathead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But between Edith and Archie, who controlled that? How many of you remember that? Or seen it from Nick at Night reruns, you know? Who controlled that marriage? Pardon me? Yeah. She always got her own way. That was only a sitcom, but she always got her own way. Here's what I'm suggesting. Lambs control bulls by saying, would you like another cup of coffee? I baked you a cake. You know? Yeah, but did you clean the garage? Where would you put Joan Rivers? He's got a TV show now, and Mork and Mindy, Robin Williams, Joan Rivers, and Dumber Dumber character, Jim Carrey. Where would you put all three of them? They're all three tigers. They're tigers in their own personality, even also the characters that they played. Let's go in between. Bull with Lamb, John Wayne. He played a gentle bull, a gentle bull. A stubborn lamb, Gerald Ford was actually a stubborn lamb. And he was the choice after Nixon, who was a bull, that he appointed Ford, and then the country nominated a lamb, and who is that?
Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Very much of a lamb owl. Graduated from the Naval Academy with a double major of nuclear physics and engineering. So you've got a pretty much of a spread there. Put yourself, from what you already think you are, put yourself there. Put your name, put me, however you want to do it. And you're ending up, so put where you're, yeah, go ahead and put yourself there. Where are you putting yourself? Yeah. Okay. And after about the 2:30, what slot do I have, Kurt? The 2:30 slot? In there, sure. And I'm going to analyze your test results that are that last page on there. And I'm interested in seeing what I've got this premise of what yours is. And some of you just hover right around the middle, like all your scores are right around those 50s. And some of you are going to be very, very extreme. Any questions on this?
Yeah, Jim has a question.
Yes.
He's not sure
Yes.
how to fill this out.
Okay. Would you help him?
Well, if you could help me.
Okay.
So there's a 1 to 4 scale. Are you to pick 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, or are you to just identify whether each attribute is a 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I started with this, and I'm going to end with this. You're a very interesting personality. Here, I didn't do it justice. I did not do it justice. Turn to that fourth page. What you're going to do, the assignment under for lunch, on a 4-to-1 scale. I say 4 to 1. In fact, I even think I say it there. 4 is most like you. 3 is moderately like you. 2 is moderately not like you, and 1 is not like you at all.
But you have a number for each one?
A number for every one.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I wasn't getting.
Either a 4-3, either a 4-3, 2. It was my fault.
No, I understand now.
And I'd
Okay.
like to know after my evaluation, because I'm very similar
Yeah,
to him.
a 4-3, 2, 1. 4 is most like you. 3 is moderately like you. 2 is not like you. 1 is not like you at all. Okay, that's what you're gonna do. But do I have just a couple more minutes? Okay, go back to this chart, please. And I want you to put your mom on the chart. Actually, go to the chart. Put your mother's personality, whether she's still living or not. Not necessarily your biological mother. Not everybody was raised by their biological mother. The lady you called mom, and put you're on the wrong page.
Joe, help me. I was misdirecting you.
Yeah.
Had a question.
Turn to this page,
Back there again?
right here. Put your mom on the chart. You're on the wrong page. This right here. Yeah, okay, I got you. I'm sorry.
I was flipping that.
Now put your dad personality. Put your dad's personality. What was your dad's personality? You got your personality, you got your mom's personality and your dad's personality. Who are you more like, your mom or your dad, in terms of personality? Now put your wife or husband's personality. Put your spouse's personality. If you've been divorced, put your divorced person on there. You'll find out why you were divorced. The closer you are to a person, everybody, the closer you are to another person's personality, the more harmony there is. I'm going to do what I used to do as a professor, saying in front of the people talking. The closer you are to somebody else's personality, the more harmony you have with that person. So therefore, if a person is a lamb tiger trying to sell to a bull owl, oftentimes there's just not that chemistry. In marketing, what we do, we oftentimes market the way we would like to be marketed, and we show the company, we say, oh, look at this. You know, I've been working on this the last couple of weeks, and you show it to somebody who's got an opposite personality of yours, and they go, it's not doing anything for me. What? And it has to do with this bull, owl, lamb, and tiger. Kurt hasn't gotten the hook out on me yet. Turn to this, please, and look at your answers. And here we are on this half card, everybody, the half card. Come on, rattle it. You got it? I've got yours. Okay. And the more yeses you have, the more blocks you have. In summary, as Zig Ziglar used to say, it's more important to sell the sizzle, not the steak. I'm suggesting which two animals like the steak and not the sizzle? Owls and bulls. You have to earn the right to close. Well, that's subjective. And if you think you have to earn the right to close, or if you're teaching in your organization, you have to earn the right to close, I'm suggesting you won't have as many sales. How many of you think that's, if somebody walks into your shop, you're called on to go give an outside presentation, or somebody allows you on the phone, I'm suggesting closing. Kurt's starting to give me that look. In selling the big ticket items, it is rare for somebody to buy the first day. I'm suggesting bulls and tigers want to buy the first day, and sometimes they don't buy the first day because we haven't given them the opportunity to do so. It is always important to talk about social first and business later. And it is paramount to build common ground with your prospect. Which two animals don't want your common ground? Bulls and owls. Tigers and lambs do want the common ground. And the last question is, it would be too pushy to 100% of the time ask for the sale. And I'm suggesting always ask for the sale. Because the number one objection is my objection. Well, I wouldn't want somebody to be too pushy. Yeah, but somebody else might. And it's all in the presentation. Well, I'll see you around 2:30. I'm staying with you all day. And thank you very much for allowing me to be with your program. Thank you. Good. So let me begin. Turn, if you would please, to that fourth page on your scores. In the right-hand column, write the word bull. In the right-hand column, write the word bull. In upper right-hand column, I didn't say it correctly. Upper right-hand corner, write the word bull. May I just use yours? Yes. Okay. So here he's going to write the word bull. Upper left-hand corner, he's going to write owl. Lower left-hand corner, lamb. And lower right-hand corner, tiger. One more time. Upper right-hand corner, bull. Going counterclockwise, owl. Upper left. Lower left, lamb. Lower right, tiger. Take your two highest scores and write it in terms of animal speak, such as your wife. Her highest score was bull, and her second highest score was tiger. She's going to write bull with tiger. She just doesn't want people to know how bold she is. We call that a facade. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so when your second score ties,
Yeah. When your second score ties, what you got, your first highest score is owl, and then you're going to write down owl with lamb and bull.
okay,
So it's owl with lamb and owl with bull.
okay,
So you are sometimes a stubborn owl,
okay.
and sometimes you're a pleasing owl, but you go back to analyzing. You go back to analyzing. Is that correct with you?
Yeah, that sounds
And the least with you is your tiger.
Mhm.
I suggest go have some fun.
just boring. Sorry.
All right. So, Josh, if you could just kind of work the camera a little bit because I'm going to move around. Let's look at the 70s. Did anybody have a score in the 70s? You had a score in the 70s. Your bull was in the 70s. Anybody else? Something in the 70s. Last week when I was in Seattle, the week before last, before Thanksgiving, there was a lady that had 82.
There's only 80 points.
I know. Yeah. She was a tiger. She couldn't add. She had 82, and I said, well, you really can't have 82. And she says, well, I have 82. And it turned out later that about 4 times a year she changes bank accounts because her bank account is so out of whack they threatened to put her in jail. And she just says, well, I'll just change bank accounts then. The lowest you could have would be 20, the highest would be 80. So we have one person at the 80, and it's a bull. Did you realize that you were that control oriented?
I tell her all the time.
No? Okay. I thought you were a tiger bull. Yeah. Who had something in the 60s? Who had something in the 60s? Tracy, how many scores did you have in the 60s? 3, okay. Now, the more above the line that you have your scores, the higher, and I'll tell you what the line is, the higher probability that you have compatibility with those particular animals. Let me do the 20s and the 30s, and then I'll go below the line, above the line. Did anybody have something in the 20s? Did anybody have something in the 30s? Okay. Rabia, if you had something in the 30s, and what was in your 30s? Was it your owl?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I can go around with most people and tell you what your highs and your low scores are. So Rabia, that was a 30 what? 32. Rabia should have a little plaque on his door that says, owls need not bother me because you will bore me. And I will talk so fast and about things you have no interest in anyway. But I'm exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
no
just,
paperwork,
yeah, I'm
no-
tongue in
no-
cheek.
Yeah, sure.
Who else had something in the 30s? Your tiger was in the 30s. Yeah. 30 what?
35.
Seriously, somebody take him out and show him a good time. Okay, anybody else in the 30s? What was it? I wouldn't have thought that, pardon me?
My lamb.
Your lamb? Okay,
35.
yeah. I wouldn't have thought it would have been buried like that. And that is buried. But, you know, oh, she's patting you like this, yeah.
When it comes out, he's a tiger.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, who had 49 or less? Who had a 49 or less? Tracy, did you have any 49s or less? No way. All your scores, oh, no way. All your scores were 50 or plus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Almost 60.
Right. So let's see the 49 or less. It's about 90% of the room. And what that is the danger zone. Go ahead, write that down, please. The danger zone. And what that means is, you know, like Tom Cruise in the danger zone, right into the danger zone. If you have a 49 or less, that danger zone means that when you are talking with that person that has that personality, they sometimes don't understand where you're coming from. They sometimes don't get you. And you might be married to that person. Yeah. The lower your score is, the more they don't get you. There is such a thing called, that I call, bull speak, owl speak, lamb speak, and tiger speak. And it's almost a foreign language that tigers, when they're talking to an owl, owls keep on talking, but they drone talk so that they don't take a breath, and they kind of, you could put the phone down, go have a ham sandwich, and come back, and they're still talking. And here, I just got to say this. There is no wrong behavior. There is no right behavior. It just is. It just is.
Is that why I tend to digress if I'm an owl?
Yes.
I've always
Yeah.
had a problem with digression.
Yeah. And you've got that kind of voice that just keeps on going. And I'm saying that positively, but I mean, it's just, that it's not intense, and it just kind of goes on.
Yet I'm not like my sister-in-law who's a yacker.
Okay, all right. Is she a tiger?
I don't know.
All right. Well, let me keep on back to the program. So a 49 or less is the danger zone. And here's what I'm suggesting is a tiger speaking to an owl, the owl doesn't get the tiger. The tiger goes off on tangents and starts talking about what they want to talk about, and they talk about the big picture, and they don't talk about the detail. If you ask an owl what time is it, they will tell you how the watch was made. Somewhat of a cliche, but they're very much into the detail.
Somebody's got to
Now,
take that one.
now let me use an example from Joe's company. Yeah, I was speaking with Nathan at our sales table. Raise your hand if you were at our table, the sales table. And Nathan brought up a particular statistic, and maybe you can help me with it, and Joe certainly can help me with it. It said something like this. Tell everybody what you do again. I think everybody in the room knows.
We serve condominium and homeowners associations.
And he came up with this statistic that he had been taught at a seminar that has been around your company, that I don't know what his age line was. Was it 50? 55. 55-year-olds plus have a higher probability of wanting to know about the history of the company. Am I saying it correctly, how he said it? Am I saying it?
Yeah, the guy's name is Cam
Yeah,
Marston,
yeah.
and he's basically identified these generational behaviors.
right. And that the younger generation, what do you call a younger generation? Did he have a
Well,
30?
he broke it out,
Yeah.
you had like the older
Yeah.
set, the baby
Yeah.
boomers,
Yeah.
the Gen X and
Yeah,
Y.
all right. We're more interested in the tech.
Yeah, what it would do for them.
Yeah, okay. Well, it really got my attention because out in California, that same, I've heard that many times. And we actually, I started the research out there on this, and what we found is there is zero correlation between that. Now, I wasn't trying to just support a premise, a hypothesis, but there was zero correlation between that, and what it broke down to is personality, not age. So in my book of lies and myths we have been taught in selling, there are so many myths that we have in our company, in our industry, and the ones that we have that we use that get in the way. Now, how about if I have that, at least 3 different pieces of research that we've done proved it to be a myth. Now, that doesn't make it totally a myth, but here's what I'm suggesting. Question everything. Question everything that you've been taught, such as it's better to sell the sizzle, not the steak. The ones that we talked about earlier, social first is better than business first. Yeah, well, the answer really is it depends. Let me ask you this one. If a person in the beginning of your presentation asks, what is the price? Should you avoid telling them what the price is and say something like, let me continue on with my presentation and let me get to that later? How many of you think you should not give the price until you're ready to give the price? No, so nobody falls into that one. Did somebody ask you, what are your fees? Do you tell them right away, or do you wait for it later? Joe?
Well, I'm not gonna be able to tell them.
No, because you don't know, yeah.
Because there are a lot of variables.
okay.
We haven't decided. You've asked me, you wanna buy a car,
Yeah.
what's it gonna cost? And I need to understand what kind of car
Okay.
you wanna buy. So I'm gonna address the question in a sense of to tell them, I wanna get there and you're gonna understand how this works, but I can't give you a price until I understand what you're trying to buy.
Now play this person. If I have 50 rental properties all in one development.
I'll spare you.
Yeah.
We don't do rental properties. Let me see if I can give you an.
Okay.
But I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, you see where I'm coming on this, that there's some myths that stop me from success. And so just challenge everything in terms of those myths. Does anybody want to ask me about your personality, specifically about your personality? Well, let me comment on one personality profile I saw, Tracy's. Tracy, you had 3 60s, is that correct? And one in the 50s. Not, I don't mean exactly 60s, but in your highest. Do you mind me doing this, or would you rather me not? Is that okay? Okay. I'm not getting very much of a buy-in on this, but your lamb was your highest. Is that correct?
My lamb and tiger were 63.
Okay, but your lamb was a couple points higher than your tiger?
No, they were both 63.
Exactly 63. Okay, all right, all right.
The bull was 60, and then the owl
Okay.
was 57.
Now, somebody else asked me this question about if I have a lamb and a tiger, or a bull and a lamb, and you tell me, give me about that many when I'm almost out of time. Am I in conflict with my own personality? And the answer is yes. How many of you feel there's almost a conflict in your own personality? Like if you're a bull lamb, it's that if I'm a bull first and a lamb second, that would make me a gentle bull. If I'm a lamb first and a bull second, that would make me a stubborn lamb. Right brain, left brain. You mentioned that earlier, and I already have mentioned about that. The right brain people, you might want to make a note on this, are more the tigers and the lambs, left brain, owl, and bull. If a person is an owl tiger, they are in conflict with themselves in terms of left brain and right brain.
Could you repeat that?
Sure.
Yeah.
The left brain, the ultimate left brain person is Kurt, who is an owl. I meant not Kurt himself, but the owl is the ultimate left brain person, and bulls. So you're more left brain than right brain with that, according to this, but you've also got that tiger, which is in conflict with your bull. This gets really deep. Here's my point. Selling is a science. How many of you believe that selling is a science? It's a behavioral science. It's my niche, the sociology, psychology, sociology. But selling is definitely a science. And I'm suggesting that a company can overnight, which means next month, start doubling, not just having a 10% or 20% increase, but starting to have a 100% increase in their successes, in their sales. Now, the variable there is what you're selling and how much you want to do that. But I'm also suggesting that my personality gets in the way of my successes. Why am I using the word suggesting? Have you heard me use that word several times? You've heard me use that several times. Why am I using the word suggesting? Because if I were to tell you, you would block me. Your brain would block me because nobody can tell you anything. I'm being somewhat facetious.
Absolute.
Pardon me?
Nothing's absolute.
Okay, all right. See, he didn't even agree with that. Type A personalities are the bulls and the tigers. You might want to make a note on that. So when people talk about type A personalities, those are the very assertive, more controlling type of personalities. Marriages, I used to be a marriage counselor a long, long time ago. We would find that opposites attract. How many of you would agree opposites attract? And my little cliche on that is, yes, opposites attract, then they get married, and then they spend the rest of their life trying to get out of it. Ha ha ha. Here's some notes that I've written just about today, and then I'm almost out of time on this. Grow companies. If you're not growing, you're dying. How many of you agree with that? There's no such thing as a stagnation, then you're going to go back the other direction. We are all in the people business. We're all in the people business. No matter what you're selling, we're in the people business. All right, I looked down at this. Somebody commented on this. My wife, Ann Alexander Clarke, had this monogram for me and the cufflinks. And I know you're supposed to have just one set of monograms. And so she said, well, I'm bigger than life, so that's why she made it a little larger. Okay, that wasn't in my notes. We don't always see ourselves as others see us. even on this personality test, it doesn't completely reveal your personality because when I used to have a practice that, I still have a practice, but it's a different kind of practice, that I would jumble these numbers up. Your brain started saying, oh yeah, I see, those are the owlish questions, those are the bull questions. And if you want to become a bull, you can. Or if you want to become a tiger, you can. But your brain is smart enough to know how to juggle that around. If you don't, the hiring session this morning, if you don't know how to hire well, know how to fire well. How many of you, why'd you go like that, Robia?
So true.
Yeah.
It's self-serving.
Yeah. How many of you have a sacred cow or several sacred cows in your company? The sacred cow, like in India, they go hungry and they've got all these little skinny cows around, but they can't butcher them because of their belief system. How many of you have do you have any sacred cows? Are they here today?
No. All of our cows are good. We have had sacred cows in the past, we tend to get over that pretty quickly.
Your personality is your greatest asset. Here's a yell but it's also your Achilles heel. Because what I mean by that is objections. What's the number one objection in your company of somebody buying your product? And without playing the guessing game, I'm going to give you this. It's yours. That, oh, well, people don't do this. People wouldn't buy the first day. People wouldn't buy an expensive product like the chemical example I gave you earlier. They wouldn't buy that the first day. How about in buying a home? How many of you would agree that women make the decision of buying the home? How many of you would agree with that? No. It's just not true. But, I mean, and when I say it's not true, so we do it scientifically, scientific research in terms of asking 1,000 people, and the answer really is more to the bull, owl, lamb, or tiger.
Oh, okay.
Do you make the major decisions, or does he?
Yes.
Now, do I have another minute left, Kurt, or not? Okay. I wanted to comment on his perching right now. But a couple of you asked me, you said you didn't have any money on you, and you have no checks. Can you still get the book? And just send me a check. I would like to personalize your book for you. So and get your business. I'd like to get everybody's business card. I know Kurt's going to provide the speakers with the people who are here, but I'd love to get a business card from everybody. And who would like to purchase the book? I'm not trying to sell books right now, but who wants to purchase the book and has no money? You've already done that. Yeah. Last thing. What you were just doing, and you go like this very, very much so. What does this mean? Body language. What does this mean?
I'm holding up my head.
This is the body language for an owl. Owls do this. Owls have a higher probability of perching. Everybody perch. Now do a reverse perch. Yeah. Bulls have a higher probability of doing this. How many of you say this is a defensive position? How many of you agree this is a defensive position? Let me see your hands. Yeah. Are you aware you do this?
Oh, I don't do it, he does.
Okay, you did it also. You
She
were.
was mocking me.
Oh, is that what it was?
I was
Oh,
mocking him,
okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. Get my ducks in a row here.
That's what I do, the two different.
How many of you agree this is a defensive position?
Yes.
Let me see your hands. How many agree with it's a defensive position? Where'd you come up with that?
What I always heard.
Yeah. That's what I've always heard. That's what I heard at that seminar. Here's what I'm suggesting. This is actually a buying sign for him. For bulls, it's a buying sign. You want your bull to do this. You want to get in the bull position also. I call this the bull body language. When you are owling, and you were owling, I would want to owl also. I want to become what the other person is, and it's not phony, it's the highest form of respect. And if I'm talking to your wife, I want to do one of these.
Don't do what she does.
Lambs have a higher probability of head bobbing. Lambs have a higher probability of head bobbing. I have not seen people that have been cited as lambs doing that, and I don't see you doing that. And tigers talk a lot with their hands, and they talk a lot. And sometimes you can be talking to a tiger, stay up with me, and then if I'm portraying a tiger, and just start telling me something about your presentation.
Oh, today?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And they walk away from you. I just needed somebody to walk away from. Tigers talk a lot with their hands, and they walk away from you.
Why'd you do
But I'm not going to give any more, but there's a whole thing of favorite color of each of the animals, and it's not the favorite color that the color, which is a very good system, talks about. What the features and benefits that each of them like and don't like. It's really a science. Well, thank you very much. I'm through. The high? Well, the more all your scores are above 49, the higher probability you have of communicating with that particular animal. Tracy has that personality with all of his scores above 50, 3 of them in the 60s. What it is saying is that he has a higher probability of really connecting personality-wise with almost everybody. Most people have 2 personalities that are extremely low, and they can really connect with the bull and the tiger, but they really can't connect with the owl and the lamb, therefore they marry them. That was my humor. So sometimes I use humor, like, since you brought this up, Jennifer, who is a bull tiger, she goes between tiger, bull, and bull tiger, and I now believe that your bull side is being brought out by your husband, and you're really more tiger than bull. That's what I sensed. She asked me at the first seminar where I met her what I thought her personality was, and in my humor, that I either said owl lamb or lamb owl. I think
You said owl because I was thinking.
yeah. No, but I really, and then I mentioned that to you when we met, and I said, oh no, I did not. There's no way you could think Jennifer is a lamb owl. That was my humor. And which animal has a higher probability of entertaining themselves?
Tiger.
Yeah. Well, owl tigers. What do you think my personality is? Yeah, it's not bull, and that's what Kurt thought it was too. The first time, owl tiger. Yeah. And an owl tiger is a very unusual personality because they entertain themselves, and it doesn't make any difference if the other people are entertained or not. But because of this owl side, that's what I thought our previous speaker was, more to the tiger owl side, but it turned out that he wasn't. I thought he was excellent. Thank you very much.